Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's presentation for the Lower Mississippi River. My name is Barbara Davis, and I am the Director of Product Training with American Queen Steamboat Company. And it is great to be here with your partners in travel, AlmonTravel and CARP. So I want to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started today. There is a GoToWebinar viewing pane on your monitor right now. And to make sure you're having the best audio experience, please make sure that you have checked off the box that you are either listening via the computer or if you have dialed in by an old school telephone. And in that same box, there is a Q&A section that you can type in any question to myself, and we will address those at the end of the presentation. In addition to that, there is a box for handouts, and that handout section is available for you to download any of the goodies we have put into the handout section, including our brochure for American Queen Steamboat Company. And then we also have some information in there about our safety and wellness aspect, which we'll talk a little bit more shortly as we get into the cruise experience. But with that, I want to hand things over to Danny Almon and let him have the floor for a few minutes before I chat away. So Danny, I'll let you take it over.
Thanks very much, Barbara. Yes, as mentioned, my name is Danny. I'm with AlmonTravel, and we're the official travel agency of CARP Nova Scotia. We've been in business since 2003, so a little over 17 years. We have some specialties, but of course these are not the only things that we deal with. We do destination weddings, if you have some family reunions, that sort of thing, very similar. Would love to help you with that. We focus on Florida, mainly theme parks, but also vacations in Florida as well. We do the Caribbean. We've been to most of the popular areas in the Caribbean and can help you with a vacation in that area. And of course, we focus on cruises, both ocean and river, but with a particular specialty in river cruising. We have to acknowledge that travel conditions now are not conducive to safe traveling, and that's why these presentations are being developed, so that we can just kind of have a look at what is available out there once the traveling situation becomes better. In Atlantic Canada, of course, we're very lucky, having very few cases of COVID, but we also know that in other parts of the world, COVID is still a major problem. So we have to be cognizant of that. And one of the things that Barbara will be spending some time on, will be talking about all of the efforts that American Queen staff and guests take to make sure that everybody is safe. This is the 5th presentation of about 18 presentations that are planned, which occur every Tuesday at 6:30. We surely would like to have you sign up for more of these presentations and pass the word along to your friends to sign up as well. Our original plan for travel with CARP was primarily to work on a number of groups, different destinations, different itineraries, and invite people to travel. But of course, we also do individual bookings. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to get in touch. Also would like to suggest that if you have some ideas for other presentations that might be of interest to the traveling public, please let me know at danny@almontravel.ca, and I'll do my best to see if we can arrange a presentation on that particular destination or itinerary. I'm happy to introduce now Bill Van Gorder, who is the COO and Chief Policy Officer for CARP National, as well as founding chair for CARP Nova Scotia, as well as also being the senior spokesperson for CARP in the Maritimes. Bill, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, thank you, Danny, and thank you very much for putting together this presentation today. As somebody who has stood on the shore and watched the American Queen go by, it's always been a dream of ours to travel on it, and maybe one day we will be able to. CARP is pleased to offer this opportunity for you to think about your upcoming travel. I think it's a wonderful idea to be able to dream a little now and plan what we can do in the future when traveling resumes again. CARP had intended to be working with Danny and doing some group trips starting this fall. And unfortunately, of course, those have gone by the wayside now for the time being, but they're still in our plans. And hopefully within the next few months, we'll be announcing what our upcoming travel will be, when you will be able to get both the advantage of the kind of pricing that we can get by going as a group through CARP and Danny, and also be able to go with your CARP friends and the new friends that you'll make along the way. So I'm going to sit back now and enjoy with all of you, feeling very warm as we look at lower Mississippi River cruising. So back to you, Danny.
Okay, thank you very much, Bill. Barbara, love to hear your presentation.
All right, well, let's get started. So as mentioned earlier, my name is Barbara Davis at American Queen Steamboat Company. I often like to introduce myself as the American Queen. It comes off well sometimes. So I am going to take you on a very royal journey through the lower Mississippi River. And I do want to cover kind of the elephant in the room first, knowing that health and wellness and safety is a top priority right now on everyone's mind. So what I can convey to you is that we have partnered with Ochsner Health to ensure that we have the most stringent set of protocols in place to ensure your wellness while you sail with us, and not just on board our vessel, but during our land experiences as well. So we have a stringent set of cleaning protocols we have put into place. In fact, uploaded in today's live webinar is a handout that covers an entire set of overviews that we have put together for you, so you can learn a little bit more about what we're doing to implement wellness and safety. But that also includes everything on our land experiences too. So not just cleaning on board and doing temperature checks before your initial visit with us, but every day when you go on and off the paddle wheelers, we'll be doing temperature checks. That also applies for our crew as well. We'll have sanitation stations. We will be respecting social distancing. In fact, our motor coach portion of our shore experiences will be operating at about half capacity, so we can do every other row and make sure that you're all distanced appropriately, and of course wearing masks and things of that nature. So I just like to cover that in the beginning, so that way you can have kind of that sense of calm, knowing that your wellness is a top priority for us, as well as our crews, because without our crew we're not sailing, right? So anyways, we'll put that aside for now, and I want to tell you a little bit about American Queen Steamboat Company kind of as an overall. So we consider our cruises uniquely American, and what that means to us is that we're providing you with an immersive cruise experience that is steeped in culture and history right here along the US fabled rivers. A lot of times you think you have to go to Europe to see culture and history, but we forget that we have it here in our own backyard. So that is very convenient for you to get to. Now, one thing that is also unique about American Queen Steamboat Company is that all of our paddle wheelers are US built, US flagged, and have an all-American crew. So it's a very wonderful experience on board because our crew are full-time employees with us. They're not just contracted for a couple of weeks and then sent on their way. We invest heavily with them. We pay them full US wages and benefits. And I tell you this because we know how important guest experience is, and that is why we do take that involvement to the next levels with our employees and our crew across the board. So anyways, that's just a little bit about the uniquely American aspect, but let's talk a little bit about our authentic paddle wheel boats. When you picture yourself on a US river cruise, you're probably not picturing a sleek yacht. You're thinking about Mark Twain's Mississippi and the old bygone era of the steamboat and heyday of the late 1800s. That is exactly what we do at American Queen Steamboat Company. We have 4 authentic paddle wheel boats, each of them unique in their own right, but they all have fully functioning paddle wheels that help propel us up and down river in tandem with either a modern Z-drive engine, or in the case of the American Queen, her authentic steam-powered engine. So she is truly unique, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her in a little while. But for the most part, what you should know is that these are the types of boats that were not only designed to sail US rivers, but it is what you expect to see and experience throughout the entire cruise. So there's no better way to sail on America's waters than feeling the rhythm of that authentic paddle wheel boat. So let's start off with what is included in your cruise fare. So before you even step onto our paddle wheeler, we're going to make sure that you have time to enjoy the city in which you're embarking from. So you can stay a while with us and enjoy the complimentary pre-cruise hotel night. This is part of every single cruise we sell. So what you're going to have is not only one night's accommodation, but you will have breakfast the next morning. We'll take care of all the porterage of your luggage directly from your hotel room and put it into your stateroom. And we will transfer you from the hotel to the boat for embarkation. So it's a very seamless experience. And then you do have time to enjoy the destination. Now, my personal insider tip is that you consider taking the pre-cruise tour, where you get to see an experiential city atmosphere, interactive with maybe some meals and some activities, but we always have a pre-cruise tour that actually drops you off at the boat for embarkation later. So that's always a highlight, and you can work with AlmonTravel to see what best fits your need. So once you're on board, we know that food is often a top priority for our travelers. So let's talk a little bit about the flavors of the river, because that is what we do. We're providing you with that authentic, culturally immersive experience on the river. And that comes down to even the smallest details in our menu. So when you're in the South, the menu might be influenced with more Cajun and Creole. If you happen to be sailing with us in the Pacific Northwest, the menu might have more Dungeness crab and salmon. But again, we're making sure this is an authentic experience. The other thing is that we have alternative dining restaurants on every paddle wheeler, and there's no charge to eat at those restaurants. And we have 24-hour room service on board. Now, if you have a special dietary restrictions, such as low sodium or something of that nature, all the normal ones we cover. But if you are vegetarian, if you're vegan or gluten-free, we can accommodate those special dietary needs as well. So I'm happy to share that information with you. Now that we talked about food, let's talk about the almighty drink, because we know beverages are important as well. So we include daily with your cruise all the soda, specialty coffee and tea, and at dinner time, beer and wine is included in the main restaurant as well. So that is going to be what's included. If you would like an alcoholic beverage any other time of day, there is a charge for it, but I've got a solution for you. So stand by for that, because we've got an unlimited beverage package that you can actually add on to your cruise vacation, and that'll provide greater value for you. And it starts at $3.99 per cabin, not per person, but per cabin. So if there's 2 of you in there, that is half the cost of those big blue water cruises. So that's a great benefit. But otherwise, beer and wine's included with dinner, rest assured. Now, if you're a water drinker like myself, we have installed hydration stations on board every paddle wheeler on every single deck. So you will receive a refillable souvenir metal bottle in your stateroom, and every guest get one. And you can utilize that at any of the hydration stations on board the boat. So you can stay hydrated, and this actually saves us over 400,000 plastic water bottles a year. So that's our part of being green and eco-friendly. So what else is included in your cruise fare with us? Well, the entertainment is, of course. So whether it's our large stage productions, or our cabaret style lounge acts, or even our piano bars, there is something for you every evening in different venues throughout every paddle wheeler. But part of our entertainment program is our enrichment program. And this is really where the destination comes to life for you. So we have step-on entertainers like Mark Twain impersonators, Civil War battlefield reenactors. We have Native American elders who come on board and talk story. So again, it's about making sure you have a fully immersive experience. But more importantly, that photo you're seeing in the middle of the screen there is our River Lorian. That's kind of a weird word, right? River Lorian? That is our resident historian on the river. And they provide daily lectures about what's around every bend of the river, the history of the area, the cultural aspects of it, and again, making it a very educational and immersive experience for you. Now, in addition to all of that, included in your cruise fare is our daily guided shore excursions. So we operate our own fleet of motor coaches, and you can see they're wrapped with the same look and feel as the boat. They're very easy for you to spot around town. What we do is we drive these motor coaches in tandem with the boat. So you're going to experience the same great drivers every single day. So they're an extension of our crew just on land. And what we do is every day when we're in town, we bring in a local expert tour guide. So that way they can provide all the key area information right from the comfort and convenience of your motor coach. So if you've been on a European cruise before or any escorted tour somewhere, you know that usually you have to wear a headset. You have to hustle to keep up with the guide and watch them hold that lollipop stand sign to watch where they're going, right? So you don't have to do that with American Queen Steamboat Company. Everything is from the convenience of the motor coach. And then what we do is we operate a hop-on, hop-off loop. So you will get a map of the next day's destination in the evening, and it will show you every single stop that is included in this hop-on, hop-off experience. So you can get on the boat or on the motor coach in the morning and ride the entire loop, or you can get off at every single stop. It's really up to you to customize your vacation. And that is what is so amazing, that it's at your pace and you can pick and choose what it is you want to do. And this is included. In fact, out of the 10 stops you see here, 9 out of the 10 we include the admission fees for. So you're not nickeled and dimed to do activities because we include the majority of admission fees in all of our hop-on, hop-off locations. So that's the included activities. There are premium shore excursions as well, which we can certainly talk about. Those are elevated experience, but rest assured every day in each port of call, you are getting included guided shore excursions. So let's talk about the lower Mississippi. And I kind of want to walk you through this destination, which I know Danny has done this sailing before. So he'll talk to you about his experience in the end. But this is really a very unique itinerary. It's kind of our bread and butter destination. We're here typically year round. We have 3 different boats that sail here, and I'll share those with you again at the end. But this is truly that lower Mississippi, that quintessential Southern charm feel. Now, a lot of people don't realize it, but the lower Mississippi is also called the muddy Mississippi for a reason. There's a lot of cargo traffic on the river, but there's so many wonderful sights to see on land as you traverse this. Now, the upper Mississippi becomes a bit more picturesque and scenic with wildlife, but the lower Mississippi is really the pulse of everything. So what I want to do is walk you through kind of the ports of call that we have starting in New Orleans. Now, obviously, if you start out here, your pre-cruise hotel night is going to be with us at the Hilton Riverside, which is steps away from the French Quarter. But there is so much to see in New Orleans outside of the French Quarter. Now, remember I mentioned that there were some add-ons and enhancements you can do with AlmonTravel. So one of the things you can add on here in New Orleans is a city stay package. So that actually gives you 2 nights to explore the city versus 1. And it comes with a bunch of activities and tours that only the guests who purchase the city stay package receive. That means you're going to get a 3-day streetcar jazzy pass so you can get around town. You're going to have admission to the top 7 attractions in New Orleans, like the World War II Museum and the Mardi Gras Museum. You'll have beignet at a coffee shop. You'll have brunch at the Court of Two Sisters. These are all package enhancements that you can add to this cruise vacation. So anyways, let's move on from New Orleans. So after you sail away from this wonderful city, we have our first stop at Nottoway. And Nottoway is one of the largest mansions built in the South. And American Queen Steamboat Company has exclusive docking rights to Nottoway. So literally what we do is we pull up right next to the levee. We drop the bridge down and everybody walks off the paddle wheeler. You walk over the little levee and you're here at this beautiful mansion, which you can take a tour of. There's of course a gift shop and there's some iconic huge oak trees with swings hanging from them. So you can have that picture moment that you want with the mansion in the background and the swing swaying by. But this is just one of the stops that we have. Now, in addition to this, from Nottoway, we do have some premium tours that are available for you too. So if you want to kind of take it to the next level, you can visit Oak Alley Plantation. And this, of course, is well known for its oak alley for these hundreds of year old oak trees planted in front of the mansion itself. But there's a lot of historical aspects right here on the property. Now, if this wasn't your cup of tea, which if you're doing the lower Mississippi, you probably want to see the mansions. But if you wanted to do something different, you could absolutely do a bayou swamp tour, because when you think of yourself in the South, most people are thinking about the bayou when they want to go see an alligator or have some crawfish or something, right? So anyways, that's what we do here on the Bayou Swamp Tour. We take you on a pontoon boat, and you do have an opportunity to hold a little alligator as well. Don't worry, his nose is wrapped up just so he doesn't bite you, right? Anyway, so I have done that several times. It is a huge highlight, and I always recommend that tour. From there, we can also sail to Baton Rouge. So certain itineraries will include the capital of Louisiana. So that is one where we do a great city tour of. But from there, we'll continue on to St. Francisville. Now, these photos I'm going to show you in St. Francisville look mysterious, right? You've got that Spanish moss hanging from the trees, that bayou swamp fog rolling in. It is truly quintessential. Now, of course, there's sunny days there too, but I love this photo because it really encapsulates that small, sleepy town feel. Now, one of the stops in our hop on, hop off motor coach tour goes to the Myrtles, which is another mansion, or now it's really a bed and breakfast, but it is well known for some of its haunted spirits that are there. So many of our guests take a tour of the Myrtles and say they've felt a little something, breezing on the back of their neck, or one of those little experiences. I will tell you, I've had one of them myself, but my insider tip for you here at the Myrtles is the gift shop is amazing. And at the gift shop, they serve a vanilla bread pudding. It is to die for. So that's my insider tip. Get there early enough so you can get that bread pudding. All right, after the Myrtles, we have an opportunity for you to do something truly unique. There is a premium tour out of St. Francisville that goes to Angola Prison. Now, you might not have thought this is something you would do on a cruise vacation, right? But this is one of the biggest maximum security prisons in the United States, and their faith-based program has really put forth a whole new realm of experiences that locals can come and do. In fact, they have the largest rodeo right here at Angola Prison every year. So there's some really unique experiences. You get to come in and meet with an inmate and find out how his life has been changed by being part of this program. There's also some sites on the grounds of the prison where they train dogs for movies. So again, it's something totally different. Okay, moving from there, we're going to head up to Natchez. And Natchez is one of my favorite destinations out of the entire southern itinerary, because the stately mansions like Stanton Hall that you're seeing here are beautiful, and there are dozens of them. And our hop on hop off map route stops at several of them. But there's also a lot of history here too. Like, some people don't realize that during the Great Depression, this town was almost completely obliterated had it not been for the Jewish mercantiles that were there. So when you go to the visitor center, they have a movie that tells you the story about the history of Natchez, and it's so impressive. But Natchez also has the biggest array of premium experiences you can do as well. One of my favorites is taking the Story of Cotton tour. I wanted to take this tour because my uncle actually was a cotton picker back in the day. So it was really unique to be able to go and see a modern cotton gin versus right next door the plantation that had the cotton, where you could really go out and actually feel the prickles of the cotton buds and see the old antique cotton gins themselves. So we head out to Frogmore Plantation for that experience. If you didn't want to do that, you can also do a little bit more outdoor adventure. So we do have ATV rides. So if you want the adrenaline rush, you can certainly do that as well. We have a whole outdoor outback adventure program with even side-by-side razors. And if you're a golfer, we have a golf experience. So you can head out to Duncan Park and we will bring you there for your tee time and you can golf. So perhaps you're listening and you're a lady of the house and your husband is on the fence about doing this cruise. If he's a golfer, this is a great way to get him going, right? And then we also have one of my favorite tours, aside from the cotton, is biscuits and brunch. So we all know in the South, they're known for their biscuits. So this is where you can get hands-on and learn how to make those Southern buttery biscuits with our celebrity chef, Regina Chaboneau. This is an amazing experience where you actually get to go into her restaurant and you get to fold the dough and learn how to make these delicious biscuits. And of course, you get to sample them too. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? All right, so from there we continue north to Vicksburg, which is truly rich in history of the Civil War. So you can do sites like Vicksburg Battlefield and take the 17-mile journey through our motor coach that sees where the North and the South met and actually had these different locations of battle amongst the entire field. So this photo here is actually one that I took myself while I was on this tour. And I have to tell you, it's something you really have to experience in person to kind of get a feel for what really took place and how monumental things were. But we also have premium experiences out of Vicksburg as well. Another one of them is another golf experience. So that's become a big component for us as well. We've got a lot of golfers on board. In fact, we also have a voyage that's a special edition cruise that has a golf add-on package that comes with 4 rounds of golf at different golf courses throughout the lower Mississippi area. And it has a bunch of giveaways and competitions, but that's a whole nother story. So let's continue up to the port of the Mississippi Delta. Now, this could be 3 or 4 different locations up here in the heart of the Mississippi Delta. So I'll kind of break these down for you because this is really where the blues and the gospel come to life. So traditionally, it's in Mississippi. So we'll start in Greenville. So one of the highlights of being in Greenville is to head out to the B.B. King Museum, where when we get there, you're greeted with a blues band who is singing to us. It's amazing. You walk through B.B. King's museum. This is also where his final resting place is too. So there's a very respectful area to go out and pay your respects at. And then from the B.B. King Museum, we also have a visit to an original juke joint. So we go to Club Ebony and you can have some local food that's very authentic. You get to hear the blues played right there on the stage. It's a very, very nostalgic experience. And then after the juke joint, you also have other opportunities. So if you're in Tunica, we go to the Gateway to the Blues Museum. And of course, there's no visit is complete without going to one of our gospel church experiences, where you can see from this photo, all of our guests are seated in the pews and we get to experience this amazing gospel music for about an hour's time and hear some great stories. So it's really about being encompassed in the heart of the Delta. And that's where the gospel and blues has really come to life. And Helena in Arkansas is also well known for that. Not just known for its Queen Anne houses, but that is where they have the annual blues festival every year here too. So no matter where you are amongst the Delta gospel or the Delta blues, you're going to have that musical vibe throughout. Then this experience is going to wrap up in Memphis. Now, Memphis clearly is known for many things. I'm sure you're thinking of something. Right? That was my little Elvis tribute. It was horrible. Anyways, when we get off in Memphis, you can't just take off and go home. But why head back to Nova Scotia when you can spend another day or so doing some experiences right here in Memphis? So we do have a city stay package where you can stay another 2 nights and enjoy the destination. But if nothing else, you should do the post-cruise tour, which takes you for a walk on Beale Street. So we have a local legend, Memphis Jones, who will take you down Beale Street, tell you the stories. He'll sing to you. He's got his guitar with him, and it's really a super cool experience. Then after we walk through Beale Street, we will head over to Graceland. And Graceland obviously is where Elvis Presley is resting. And so not only do you get to tour the mansion, but they have built this massive musical compound across the street from the mansion, which incorporates all of the rock and roll history, everything from clothing and memorabilia. So, and it's not just Elvis, it's really grown quite a bit. And you can also walk along the airplanes that Elvis used to fly in and go tour them and everything and see all of the automobiles. It's really an impressive experience. So that kind of wraps up the lower Mississippi destination overall. So let me tell you something before I get into the boat experience real quick, because one thing that I want to mention is that no matter which boat you decide to sail on, one thing I want to convey to you is that our travelers on board really enjoy the country club casual atmosphere. So whether you're on, the American Queen or the higher end vessel like the American Duchess, you will have something for everyone, but you don't have to worry about formal nights. The other thing is that if you are a guest who may have mobility issues, perhaps you use a walker or a wheelchair or a scooter, there is no aspect of our cruise that you would not be able to experience. In fact, normally I put a picture of my mother-in-law in my presentations because there's a great picture of me and her when we're at Graceland and I'm pushing her in the wheelchair, because I've taken a cruise or two with her before and she is in a wheelchair. So I will tell you from firsthand experience that we do an amazing job for guests with mobility issues. Every paddle wheeler has elevators. Every paddle wheeler has thresholds over the doorways to accommodate your wheelchairs. We also have porters that can take you from the boat to the coach for your shore excursions. And all of our coaches have wheelchair lifts, and the first few rows are designated for guests with mobility issues. The other reason why I like to talk about my mother-in-law is because she's a single traveler now. So she enjoys the staterooms that are priced accordingly for solo travelers. So no single supplement on those staterooms. In fact, the American Queen that you're looking at now has about a dozen different staterooms that are priced accordingly for singles without a supplement. So while we're looking at the American Queen, let's kind of chat about her for a moment. She is the authentic steamship in our fleet. Like I mentioned earlier, she has an authentic steam-powered engine. It was actually the old Dredge Kennedy engine that was found sunken underneath the Mississippi River. And they brought that engine back to life. And for more than 20 years now, she has been powering the American Queen. So she is truly significant and she is a legend. You can actually go into the engine room and watch them oil her gears every 20 minutes. So it's truly unique. Now, this is also the largest paddle wheeler in our fleet. So what you're looking at here is over 400 guests on board. So this boat typically has your most authentic feel of that old steamboat in heyday of the late 1800s. You can see she has the beautiful filigree on the outside. She has all of the ornate furnishings and the opulence on the inside. Now, totally different from the Queen. We'll go from our biggest girl to our smallest gal, and that would be the American Duchess. And she is our most boutique and intimate size vessel with only 166 guests on board. This is your more higher end vessel between the three that do the lower Mississippi. I like to say the Duchess looks like your traditional paddle wheel boat, but from the inside, she ain't your grandma's paddle wheeler because she's totally contemporary and unique. She has crystal chandeliers, glass blown art. She is really just an absolute contemporary gem. Now, in addition to that, we also have the American Countess. Now, this year was set to be her inaugural sailing season. So she is the newest member of our fleet, and she will be a middle-sized vessel, so about 245 guests on board, and she will also have that contemporary feel. Now, here's a little fun fact for you on these newer vessels, like the Countess. The Countess was actually an old gaming casino vessel, and when we acquired her, we put her into dry dock and we literally cut her in half, split her into two pieces, and added a middle section so we could lengthen her and make more accommodations for you, our guests on board. Similarly to that, the Duchess, which I showed you a moment ago, let me bring her picture back up because I always like to share this story too. When we acquired the Duchess, she was also an old gaming casino vessel. So speaking of which, I'll just mention there's no gaming on board. Nothing official, at least. There's Coast Guard regulations for that. So you can bring your own games and play, but we don't have any formal gambling for you. Anyway, so the Duchess was a gaming casino vessel that we tore down to the hull, literally removed the entire structure. And then we rebuilt the superstructure to our specifications, doing something truly unique. That way we could make 32-foot high tall ceilings in the grand lobby. We could make rooms like the one pictured on the lower left-hand corner, which is our loft suite, which is an upstairs downstairs accommodation that has 2 full bathrooms on board as well. So there are plenty of opportunities for you on all of our vessels throughout the fleet. So let me just share with you a couple of different promotions. Now, out here in the United States, we're still celebrating Labor Day. So you can take advantage of that for 2 more days. And if the Queen or the Duchess suits your fancy, we are offering a $250 per person onboard credit. This is a great opportunity to get yourself booked for next year and get some onboard credit that you can use for your premium shore excursions or your unlimited beverage package even. We also have our early booking discount promotion. So this is up to $1,400 savings on a variety of different voyages on all of our paddle wheelers. So AlmonTravel has all of this information. They can tell you which voyages apply to which different promotions. And we have just extended our risk-free policy. So you can actually pay in full by October 31st, and you can cancel or change your reservation up to 121 days prior and receive a 100% refund. So you don't have to worry about a future cruise credit anymore. We will actually give you your money back. We want you to feel secure with that. And that's really important because we also know you want something to look forward to, right? So get your booking made now with AlmonTravel. Get that reservation on your calendar. Be excited about where you're going in the future and know that it's risk-free as well. Okay, so with that, I'm going to wrap up my portion of the presentation, and I'm going to let Danny come back on and talk a little bit about how to book and the future presentations that are also available through AlmonTravel and CARP. So Danny, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. It's your commentary, very enthusiastic, brought back a lot of memories for us. We did a sailing that was called, I believe, an 8-day Southern Sampler, which was round trip New Orleans. And the main reason we did that is because we actually drove from Tampa, and so parked our car and had to be back to New Orleans. But it was really a very nice itinerary, and it gave us some time at the beginning and time at the end to see New Orleans. But I really like the idea of doing 2 different cities, so a one-way direction, New Orleans, and finish in Memphis, 2 different cities to enjoy while you're down there. We planned a couple of days in New Orleans. I believe it's called Nolans by the local residents. So
Yes.
The French Quarter marketplace with all manner of things to enjoy there, such as alligator meat. That was kind of neat.
Tastes like chicken.
Yeah. We celebrated a jazz dinner on my wife's birthday in a speakeasy in the French Quarter, and the jazz trio came over and played Happy Birthday to her in jazz, which was really neat. Yeah. And we walked the waterfront, and we could have done a lot more if we had been there longer. We had a cabin on the top level, and one of the benefits of that was to be able to, from our own cabin, look right over the top of the levees. So when mansions came into view, we were in a position just from the balcony to be able to view them. If you're down on the second level or the first level, you'd have to go to the top level to be able to see over the levee. So that was a very enjoyable thing. We enjoyed the steam-powered Calliope. Hard word to pronounce, but it was a small piano with whistles, and you as soon as you hear it, you'll associate it with the South and with paddle wheelers. So. But a couple of comments that I jotted down when you were doing your presentation. I remember when we were at Vicksburg, that's a very moving cemetery, full of incredible statuary. I just couldn't believe it. But we had a grizzled Johnny Reb come on our bus, and I have a picture of him, and I think I've lost it in a hard drive failure, but I remember that being one of the most notable pictures I took, where he was in period costume and talking to us about the Civil War. You talked about afternoon tea. We tried a mint julep, which is associated with the South, and it was different than I expected. I kind of expected it to be like lemonade, but it wasn't.
Definitely not like lemonade. It's a little bit harder than lemonade. Yes.
And Angola prison was a real, I won't say a high point, I'll say a sobering point. A life sentence in Angola is a life sentence, and it doesn't matter if you had 3 relatively minor crimes, you're in there for the rest of your life. And that was a very sad thing. And we got a chance to talk with and walk around the prison where we were allowed to, and into a chapel where they talked about, being saved, being saved in terms of your personal self, but not being saved in terms of being able to be released from prison. So there were a lot of the hop on buses. Anybody who's done that in any city knows that allows you enough time to stop at the sites that you really want to spend some time on, and then you just go out and wait for the bus to come by. So it's a great way to see all the different locations. So the cruise was an exceptionally memorable experience for us. It's within the top 10 and maybe even within the top 5 trips we've ever taken. One of the things I really liked about the boat or ship, now what do I call it?
It's the boat.
Okay. Is that it's a wonderful combination of ocean and river. The large stage entertainment at night, where the Vegas style entertainment was there, was a high point, you know, on a number of nights. The on a river cruise in Europe, it's very low key.
It is.
It's interesting and it's fun, but this was something very much akin to an ocean cruise. The dinners were absolutely fantastic. It was just, as I say, it was a trip that was extremely memorable. Yeah, we will be looking at trying to develop some group cruises, and of course I encourage the viewers and listeners to look into this if they want to do individual journeys. Of course, that you can travel at the time that you want to travel, and I'd be very happy to accommodate you. I would be also happy to share our experiences and be able to tell you why this is such a good opportunity to travel. I guess I'll conclude before I give you an opportunity to say goodbye too, Barbara, is just same time next week, we are planning to do a presentation on the Rocky Mountaineer. That's the train ride through the Rocky Mountains. It's an experience that my wife Debbie and I had. We truly enjoyed that as a prelude to an Alaska cruise back about 6 years ago. And we actually helped Bill Van Gorder and his wife Esther to do a Rocky Mountaineer too. So next week, we'll take an opportunity to explore this wonderful mode of travel. Barbara, I want to thank you very much. Enthusiastic and interesting presentation. I was smiling all the way through it. I enjoyed it so much. You are a wonderful presenter, and I want to thank you on behalf of myself and CARP and Bill for your wonderful presentation. And perhaps we might be able to work something on Victory Cruise Lines somewhere down the road. And
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that for sure. And a lot of people don't realize that American Queen Steamboat Company is also one of the 2 overnight cruise divisions of our organization. And the other version of it is Victory Cruise Lines, what does Great Lakes, Canadian Maritimes, New England, etc. So I'd be happy to come back and talk about that. So yeah.
And particularly of interest to the demographic that CARP is. So
yes.
Again, Barbara, thank you very much for being here with us.
You're very welcome, Danny. Would you like me to see if there's any Q&A that has been entered in at this point?
Yes, please, if you
I know we're looking at time-wise. I think we're close, but we can probably at least open it up to see. So let me open up the Q&A box and see if there were any questions. So again, if you're still listening and you have not typed in any questions, please type them in now and we will address them. Here is one that it's actually a comment. It said, I took this cruise and this was a highlight for me. So thank you. Here's a question that actually asks about families and children on board. So I'll just address that for you real quick. Basically, we accept children of any age on board. We do not have a minimum age restriction. We do have connecting staterooms, triples and quad occupancy staterooms for families. So if there was a multi-generational trip or even skip generation, which has become popular now with grandparents taking the grandkids, we can certainly accommodate that on board. Just know that there's no kids club or organized kids activities. And in the handful of years I've been with the company, only one time have I seen children on board because our travelers are typically baby boomer travelers. So that's a great question that was asked there. I don't see any other questions typed in, so I think we covered it, Danny.
Sure. Very good. Thanks again, Barbara.
All right. You're very welcome. Take care, everyone. I hope to see you on one of our paddle wheelers in the future. Full steam ahead into next year's travel. Take care. Bye-bye.